They used to call her Bush Girl. Not in a playful way, not in a teasing way, but in that slow, cutting tone that reminds you exactly where you came from and where they think you will always belong. Before Lekki, before the showroom, before the white Range Rover parked confidently outside a glass building with her name written in gold, AMAKA was just a girl in a small village outside Enugu. And she was hungry. The village woke up before the sun. Roosters screamed. Women swept dusty compounds. Smoke rose from firewood kitchens. AMAKA, if you don't wake up now, we'll carry the biggest firewood again. Chioma whispered urgently, shaking her. AMAKA groaned and turned over on the raffia mat they shared. 5 minutes. You said that yesterday. Chioma hissed. Mama almost beat us. They both burst into laughter. That was how they were, always together. They fetched water together, cooked together, dreamed together. If Chioma was loud, AMAKA was observant. If Chioma reacted, AMAKA calculated. When Lagos Riderney cousins visited every Christmas with shiny weaves and forced accents, Chioma would stare in admiration. See life? She would whisper. AMAKA would stare too, but not at the hair, at the confidence, at the posture, at the difference. One afternoon, while shelling groundnuts to sell at the roadside, Chioma said what they had both been thinking for years. One day, we will leave this place. AMAKA didn't look up. Yes, we will go to Lagos. We will make money. We will not suffer like our mothers. Yes. Chioma smiled. And when we hammer together. That word, together, felt solid then. Like cement. Marriage proposals started coming. You're a fine girl, an elderly woman told AMAKA one evening. Don't waste your time chasing city dreams. AMAKA smiled respectfully. But that night, she told Chioma, if I marry now, my life will end here. Chioma rolled onto her side. Then we won't marry now. Promise. Promise. They locked pinky fingers like children. But here's the thing about promises made in comfort. They are tested in survival. When they finally arrived in Lagos at 19, it was not cinematic. There was no soundtrack. Only noise. Danfo horns. Vendors shouting. Heat pressing against their skin. They stood at the park in Aja, holding 2 small boxes and a nylon bag full of clothes. This place is not smiling, Chioma muttered. AMAKA looked around slowly. Lagos wasn't smiling, but it was moving, and she liked that. They found a single room to rent. Peeling paint, cracked tiles, one tiny window that barely let in air. Temporary, AMAKA said confidently. Chioma dropped her bag. This city will not defeat me. Through a church connection, they both got jobs as house helps. Different houses. Same street. The first week broke something in them. Why do you talk like that? AMAKA's madam snapped one afternoon. It's not I am coming. Say I'll be right back. I'll be right back, AMAKA repeated softly. Bush girl, the woman muttered. That night, back in their tiny room, AMAKA stood before their cracked mirror. I'll be right back, she practiced. Again and again. Across the room, Chioma laughed lightly. Why are you stressing yourself? They'll still see us as house helps. Not forever, AMAKA replied quietly. Lagos exposed them differently. Chioma wanted to look like she belonged. AMAKA wanted to actually belong. Every night after chores, AMAKA would sit outside a nearby bank for free Wi-Fi. She watched YouTube tutorials on a second-hand phone. How to start an online business. Digital marketing basics. How to build a brand. Mosquitoes bit her legs. Security guards eyed her suspiciously, but she kept watching. One night, Chioma followed her. You're serious about this Instagram thing? Yes. You think posting hair will make you rich? I don't know, AMAKA admitted. But I know doing nothing will keep me poor. Chioma shook her head. You're obsessed. Maybe she was. With 47,000 Nigerian nairas saved from months of work, AMAKA bought her first batch of wigs from Trade Fair. She created a simple Instagram page. No ring light. No influencer. Just faith. Her first post got 3 likes. She stared at the screen for hours. 3 days later, a DM appeared. How much? Her heart pounded. When the customer paid, she screamed so loudly Chioma dropped her spoon. It worked, AMAKA shouted. Chioma hugged her. But something flickered in her eyes. Something small. Something new. Not pride. Not joy. Something quieter. Comparison. Orders started increasing slowly. AMAKA reinvested everything, while Chioma upgraded her wardrobe and wigs to look successful. You have to look rich to attract rich, Chioma would say, taking selfies. AMAKA barely noticed. She was busy calculating profit margins on paper. One evening, Chioma looked at her and said, "You've changed." AMAKA paused. "How? You don't just like before. I'm tired. You think you're better than me now because small money is entering?" AMAKA's chest tightened. No, but that was the first crack. And cracks spread. Success does not knock loudly. It slips in quietly and changes the temperature. By the end of the second year in Lagos, AMAKA was no longer just trying. She was building. Orders came every week. Not plenty, but steady. She now had returning customers. One influencer reposted her wig. Her followers jumped from 300 to 2,000 in one weekend. She didn't scream this time. She didn't celebrate loudly. She simply sat on the edge of their mattress and whispered, "Thank you, God." Across the room, Chioma was watching. "You didn't even tell me your page blew," she said flatly. "I was going to," AMAKA replied. "I've just been busy packing orders." Chioma folded her arms. That was heavy. At first, it was subtle. Chioma started checking AMAKA's phone more often. "How many orders today? How much did that customer pay? How much profit did you make?" The questions sounded friendly, but they didn't feel friendly. One night, Chioma sat quietly scrolling. "See this girl," she said suddenly, turning her phone around. "She started selling hair same time as you. She already has 15K followers." AMAKA nodded. "That's good for her." "You're too calm," Chioma muttered. "What do you want me to do? Compete?" AMAKA looked at her carefully. "I'm not competing with anybody." Chioma laughed, but it sounded sharp. "That's why you'll remain small." But AMAKA knew something Chioma didn't understand. Consistency beats competition. The day AMAKA delivered hair to Lekki changed everything. The customer lived in a glass apartment overlooking the water. When security opened the gate and said, "Yes, who are you here to see?" AMAKA felt small. She wore her best blouse, but it still felt like village cloth. Inside the apartment, the customer barely looked at her. "Just drop it there." AMAKA nodded. But while standing near the window, staring at the skyline, something shifted inside her. Not envy, not intimidation. Vision. As she left the estate, she whispered to herself, "One day, I will not enter Lekki as delivery girl." She didn't know Chioma was watching her location updates. That night, Chioma asked casually, "You went to Lekki?" "Yes." The poison of comparison grew thicker. 3 weeks later, something strange happened. Her main supplier stopped responding. Calls, no answer. Messages, left on read. At first, she assumed it was network. Then customers started messaging. "Your page isn't opening. What happened to your account?" AMAKA tried logging in. Error. Her Instagram page had been reported and suspended. Her stomach dropped. She appealed. No response. That same evening, a customer sent her a screenshot. "Is this your new page?" The username was slightly different. The photos were hers. The captions were hers. But the account number wasn't. Her chest tightened. This wasn't coincidence. This was sabotage. She traced the business email attached to the fake account. When she saw it, her hands went cold. It was Chioma's email. For a full minute, AMAKA couldn't breathe. Maybe it was a mistake. Maybe someone used her email. Maybe. She walked slowly back to their room. Chioma was sitting on the mattress, eating into me. "We need to talk," AMAKA said. Chioma didn't look up. "About what?" AMAKA showed her the screenshot. Silence. Then Chioma sighed. So. AMAKA's voice shook. "Why is your email attached to this account?" Chioma finally looked up, and there was no fear in her eyes. Only resentment. "You think you're the only one that deserves to succeed?" AMAKA felt like someone slapped her. "Chioma, you created this? We started together." Chioma snapped. "But you left me behind. I begged you to join me. You changed." "No," AMAKA said, tears forming. "I grew." That word hit like fire. Chioma stood up. "You think you're better than me now? Because small money is entering?" "It's not small money," AMAKA whispered. "It's hard work." The room felt too small, too tight. "You could have asked me to help you properly," Chioma continued. "But you wanted to shine alone." AMAKA's tears finally fell. "I wanted us to grow together." Chioma looked away, but she didn't apologize. That hurt more than the betrayal. That night, they slept back to back. But the friendship had already died. In the morning, Chioma packed a small bag. "I'm moving to my cousin's place," she said coldly. AMAKA nodded silently. No begging, no shouting, just grief. After the door closed, AMAKA sank to the floor. Not because she lost money, Not because she lost her page, but because she lost the girl who once shared her mat, her secrets, her promise. The next months were brutal. Customers disappeared. Savings ran low. She had to start over from zero. Zero followers. Zero trust. Zero momentum. Sometimes at night, doubt whispered, "What if Chioma was right? What if you were selfish? What if you can't rebuild?" But something stronger answered, "If you built it once, you can build it again." And that became her anchor. This time, AMAKA was smarter. She rebranded completely. New name. New logo. Professional photos. She invested in a small ring light. Learned branding properly. She stopped telling people her plans. Silence became her strategy. Months passed. Slow growth returned. But this time, it was stronger. Built on experience. Built on pain. Built without distraction. And far away, in another part of Lagos, Chioma was watching. Pain changes you, but discipline transforms you. After Chioma left, AMAKA stopped announcing her moves. No more excited gists. No more shared strategies. No more explaining her vision. She worked quietly. Woke up early. Studied trends. Contacted better suppliers. Improved packaging. She reinvested every naira again, but this time with experience guiding her. Her captions became stronger. Her branding became cleaner. Her confidence became visible. And slowly, the world began responding. An influencer with 50K followers posted her wig. Then another. Then a small actress tagged her page. Her followers climbed. 5,000, 12,000, 28,000. This time, she didn't celebrate loudly. She simply adjusted her crown, even though no one could see it yet. The day she paid rent for her first Lekki apartment, her hands trembled. It wasn't a mansion, just a modest one-bedroom flat. But it was in Lekki. She stood in the empty living room alone. White walls, clean tiles, large windows. 5 years ago, security redirected her to the staff entrance. Now she had her own keys. She dropped her bag on the floor and slowly sat down. Then she cried. Not loud tears. Quiet ones. The kind that wash away old humiliation. She remembered being called bush girl. She remembered practicing English in front of a cracked mirror. She remembered betrayal. And she whispered, "I didn't stop." Growth demands expansion. Online orders were now overwhelming. She needed a physical space. A bold space. After months of searching, she found it. A small but elegant shop space in Lekki Phase 1. Glass doors. Clean frontage. Good lighting. The rent was terrifying. But so was staying small. The day she signed the lease, the agent asked, "Are you sure?" She smiled calmly. Yes. She named it. AMAKA Luxe Hair. Gold lettering on black background. Minimal. Classy. Unapologetic. Opening day came quietly. No loud party. Just soft music, champagne, and close customers. When the first official customer walked in and said, "Good afternoon, Ma," something inside her healed. Ma. Not house help. Not bush girl. Ma. Outside, a white Range Rover was parked. It wasn't bought for noise. It was bought as proof. Proof that consistency works. Rain was falling lightly that afternoon. The showroom was calm. Her staff were arranging bundles neatly. "Ma," her receptionist whispered. "Someone is here to see you." "Who?" She said her name is Chioma. Time paused. For a second, AMAKA felt the old sting. But it didn't burn anymore. "Let her in," she said calmly. Chioma walked in slowly. She looked different. Not polished. Not polished. Not confident. Just tired. Life had not been gentle. They stood facing each other. Years of history in silence. "I heard you're hiring," Chioma said quietly. AMAKA studied her. Gone was the sharp jealousy. Gone was the pride. Now there was humility. "What happened?" AMAKA asked softly. Chioma looked down. Things didn't work out. She didn't explain further. She didn't need to. Sometimes, life explains for you. There are moments when revenge feels easy. But growth feels heavier and greater. AMAKA walked behind her glass desk. Sat down slowly. Opened a drawer. Pulled out an employment application form. She placed it gently on the table between them. "We all have seasons," AMAKA said calmly. Chioma's eyes filled with tears. "I was jealous," she whispered. "I know. I was angry you were moving ahead. I know. I'm sorry." AMAKA nodded once. "I forgave you a long time ago." Chioma looked up, shocked. "You're not angry?" "I was," AMAKA admitted. "But anger is heavy. And I have too much to carry." Silence. The kind that feels like closure. "Fill the form," AMAKA said. "Not as revenge. not as superiority, but as proof that she had outgrown bitterness. People started calling her the Lekki Queen, but not because of the car, not because of the showroom, not because of the followers. They called her that because she moved like royalty. Calm, strategic, unshaken. She built her throne from humiliation, betrayal, discipline, silence, and she wore it without arrogance. Sometimes at night, she stands on her balcony, looking at the Lekki skyline. She thinks about the village girl who once shared a mat with her best friend. She thinks about promises made in innocence. She thinks about the cracked mirror. And she smiles. Because she understands something now. Not everyone who starts with you will finish with you. Not every betrayal is destruction. Some betrayals are promotion. And the bush girl? She was never meant to stay in the bush. She was gathering strength.
If you enjoyed this story, please like, share, comment and subscribe for more stories.